and welcome back to my podcast, Esme's Country Life. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about journaling because I have journaled every single adult day of my life. Basically, since I was 18, I've been keeping lots of different diaries, and I thought I would tell you how I'm able to keep track with it because over the years, I've had so many different ones that I've given up or I've only done a few days or that kind of thing. But before we begin, I just want to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of the podcast, Redpost. Redpost is an equestrian and country store based in the UK, but they also ship all over the world. And in today's podcast episode, I have actually been sent a little present by them. So let's have a look. You might be able to hear it before it comes into frame. We have a jumbo bag of treats that the horses are going to absolutely love. This is hefty. It's 4 kilograms. So if you want to stock up on treats, be sure to try out their toffee apple treats. Oh my gosh. They smell good. And they are absolutely huge. They are bigger than my face. So anyway, if you are listening to it on audio, it's a big bag of treats, basically. You get the gist. Also, if you're listening to audio, that's probably best because right now I'm not looking my best because I've been out in the horses this morning. It's been windy. It's been raining. I cannot wait for spring. Get all of your spring equestrian needs at redpostequestrian.co.uk. But anyway, yeah, I'm not looking my best, so I thought, you know what, today, let's sit down, let's have a little podcast episode where I'm going to be talking about journaling, because I've talked about journaling and scrapbooking a little bit on my YouTube channel quite a few different times, and a lot of you guys have been really interested in that. I know a lot of people have asked for a scrapbook tour, but I thought I would just do a bit of a chat about how I got into it, also some of my past journals as well. So starting off, when I was a kid, I was that person that I had so many different notebooks where I would do drawings. I was a very sort of arty child, loved doing drawings. I actually found, which kind of inspired me to do today's podcast episode today actually, I have a little shoebox that has lots of different things in of memories. So for example, it had when I was in my school play or production, I have the script from that. I also little medals from, I don't know, when I was a child doing competitions and that kind of thing, cross country running, if you listen to last week's episode. But anyway, so I found the other day when I was having a little bit of a spring clean, a little bit of a clear out, I found one of my old diaries, which was from a long time ago. I'm pretty sure the date on it was 2008, 2009. Also, if today's podcast episode goes well and you guys enjoy it, maybe for a future podcast episode we could get my old diaries out and read them together, which this one was so long ago. Yeah, it was 2008, 2009. So it was when I had my first lone pony, Lola, and it was that summer that I kind of did a little bit of a diary. I can't lie, it did take me a while to read it, just because, not that I wrote a lot because I was only very young. I would have been 7, 8 at the time. So it was the spelling actually. As a dyslexic child and as a dyslexic adult, trying to decipher what I wrote or some of the words, there was some very interesting ways that I'd spelt things. There was some interesting drawings as well, but it was very sweet. So I saw that and I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about my scrapbooking. So actually, previous years, so yeah, that was my first one. It was a little baby pink book, which is actually very pretty. It has cherry blossom on and that kind of thing, and kind of like a satin kind of material. So it was a very fancy notebook actually. Maybe that's what inspired me to be okay, I need to write a diary for older Esme to see what I got up to on this summer holiday. Actually, one of the first journals that I kept for a really long time that I was consistent with was when I was 8 and when we lived in Australia for 3 months. I don't know if many people know about this. Also, shout out to everyone in Australia. I know that at the moment the podcast is actually in the Australian charts, which is very, very cool. So thank you, Team Australia. Anyway, so yeah, I actually lived out there for 3 months when I was 8, and that is because my family were thinking of moving out there. So we had kind of a trial run where we were actually in lots of different parts of Australia. We were mainly, I want to say, around Queensland kind of area, and then we went down to New South Wales, Sydney kind of area as well near the end of the trip. So we did a lot of traveling. We weren't just in one place. So a lot of the time we were actually in a camper van, which was pretty cool, going around in that. And I don't know if this would be allowed nowadays with school and taking your children out of school kind of thing. But my parents basically said to school, hey, we're thinking of moving to Australia. Can we homeschool the kids for 3 months? And they were like, yeah, sure. Go give them an incredible experience. So I was, number one, very lucky to do all that travel at such a young age. But also we were thinking of moving out there. So that would have just like, if we had moved, would have been just my permanent life anyway. Not in a camper van, we would have lived somewhere. But anyway, moving on. So because we were out of school and being homeschooled for 3 months, the school was like, how about, I can't remember if the school came up with this idea, my local little village primary school, or if it was my mum and dad, but they were like, please, can you get your children to write a diary entry each day to keep up their reading and writing of what they've been up to. And then we also wrote a little postcard to the school as well, which was very, very cute. And send that off to them, and the class read through it. And then I'd do a little presentation when I came back home and talked about my adventures. But anyway, back to the diary, back on topic. I had a little diary entry. Each day I would draw a picture of what we got up to, and also I wrote an entry of also what we got up to. And my mum, I remember her making me write in pencil, because at that age, and also being dyslexic, my spelling was not very good. So I remember I would do like a whole page of writing, and then anything that I spelt wrong I'd have to rub out and correct. And then my mum would have this list, and she would write down all the different words that I spelt incorrectly. And then as we were driving along in the car on these long car journeys, or not car journeys, camper van journeys, she would say to me like, oh, Esme, how do you spell this? Or we'd be like going on a walk in the bush or something like that, or the jungle, and she'd be like, oh, Esme, how do you spell this? And I'd just be like, oh my goodness. Anyway, I am a lot better at spelling now, so thanks, Mum, for helping me with my spelling. Also, a little fun fact that I still find so funny to this day. So my brother has always been the more academic child. He's always been very, very clever. So at this time I was 8, he would have been 6. So he's my younger brother. And I remember when he went back to school, the school being so shocked because he knew all of his times tables, because we'd done all these times tables on our long car journeys. And I was at the sort of stage where I think I was like learning the like harder ones, so like the 8s, the 6s, the 7s, that kind of thing. And I remember the teacher being so shocked that my brother like knew all of these times tables. So that's quite funny. But anyway, so yes, in that diary I remember drawing lots of different Australian creatures. So I've got some pictures of some kangaroos, some I was gonna say platypuses, it's platypi, isn't it? Platypi, bush turkey. I remember there was this one bush turkey where we were staying at this place, and it would come up to our door every single day, and it was so cute. I also had one day which I got a tick stuck in my head. That was quite traumatic. We'd been on like a jungling kind of walk that day, and I remember it so vividly. I was on my little pink Nintendo DS Lite. I was playing Nintendogs, and it was actually quite funny because I couldn't on my DS I didn't know how to change the date and time. So anyway, it was UK time. So for some reason, my Nintendogs probably just thought I was playing with them in the middle of the night all the time. Anyway, I was playing on that, and then I remember feeling like a little bit itchy on my forehead, and then feeling this lump, and I thought, oh, is that like a new like mole or that kind of thing? So I went to my mum, and she was like, oh my gosh, that's a tick. Well, she didn't actually say it's a tick. She removed it and was like, told me what it was afterwards because she didn't want me to freak out. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit freaky. Anyway, so there's like lots of like, I'm trying to remember because obviously I was quite young at the time of some of the stories within that diary. But that was the first time where I had a diary that was very consistent, did it every single day. And when I went back to school, obviously my days weren't as interesting. I mean, each day was like more similar, so I kind of kept that as my Australia diary, and never kind of picked up a new one after that. I think I did one when I had another one when I was in year 6, so my last year of school, where I was a bit more confident with obviously reading, writing, that kind of thing. And I remember every single day writing basically like my morning routine in this diary. So for some reason I used to have a chocolate milk every morning, which I don't know how healthy that is looking back on it. But it would be like, you know, the milk where you add like a little bit of powder. I think it would be mainly be milk, so not too bad. And I would like sit down, my little routine, I'd sit down, I'd watch the telly while drinking my chocolate milk. And I don't know why, but every single day in this diary entry, I would write down that I had my chocolate milk in the morning, which is so random. I can't actually remember when I last had a glass of chocolate milk. Anyway, I think I've replaced it to cups of tea now. Anyway, I do love a cup of tea in the morning. And then the next diary. So I actually did that for quite a while. I want to say I did that for 2-3 months. I managed to keep it up every day. I would just write a little bit of what I got up to at school, or what I got up to at the weekends with the ponies. So I would love to try and find that diary and see what that says and see what I actually wrote in it, apart from me having chocolate milk every morning. And I remember round the edge where I wrote kind of what I did each day. I remember because I started it at New Year's and I was like, I'm going to do it for the whole year. I'm going to do it, and then it didn't last, obviously. But I would draw like a little drawing around the edge of what we did. So like one day, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like if we went swimming, I would draw like little waves or like little goggles or that kind of thing around the border. So it wouldn't be like a proper picture. It would just be like a cute little border to do with that day. And then my next diary I had was, I'm going to call it the drama diary. I thought such main character having this. So I had this cute little diary. It was purple with mushrooms on, and it had a lock on it as well. So I was like, oh yes, I'm going to lock it up. It's going to have all my secrets in. Not that I had any secrets when I was, 13, 14. So I was in year 8 at school. And I remember it basically in this book, I would write all the drama that was happening at school. I'm trying to remember like some of the things that I wrote in here, but it would actually more be the mean girls saying mean stuff to me, and then I'll write down what they said in my diary. So if I can find that one, oh my gosh, I would have to change the names. But oh my goodness, that would be so funny for me to read back through. Especially as I would actually be able to read what I've written, because I'd say my handwriting since that age and then onwards has always it's been pretty standard. You know, I found my handwriting. I remember when you were in primary school, and like the biggest compliment if you like wrote something or someone looked at your work, it would be if somebody said, oh, you look like you have grown-ups handwriting. Oh my gosh, if someone said that to you, biggest compliment ever. So yeah, that one I didn't do any drawings with. I just kind of wrote down what I did each day, the school drama, what was happening, who had a fight in the hallway, who got sent out of class. Like, honestly, it was just me being like, this person was really naughty today. I was definitely more of an observer at school. I just kept myself quiet and sat there and kind of watched the chaos. Not that my secondary school was not very chaotic, but I do actually, that would actually be quite a funny podcast episode. I see, I'm coming up with so many ideas now, would be the school drama that I would definitely have to change names. But like, I feel like every school there's like a few like big stories or big drama that happens. I feel like that could be quite funny. Anyway, moving on. Now we come to today, which is my diary that I have today, or my multiple diaries, because it was 2019 where that was the year that I finished my A-level exams, finished education, finished college, finished school, and was like, okay, I just turned 18 as well, because again, being a June baby, one of the youngest in the year group, so I kind of like finished my exams as I became an adult, as I became 18. I was like, you know what, this would be perfect time to start a diary. And I thought to myself, in past years I've always really struggled with like keeping up to it, doing something every single day. But do you know what won't be as difficult? Doing something once a week. I was like, you know what, that I think I can find the time for. Also, one of the other reasons why I really wanted to do this was because this was when my kind of YouTube channel and YouTube career was taking off. I was making the big leap to doing it full time as well. So I just quit my job as at a local vet's practice that I was doing as a kennel girl, which I've also done a podcast episode on, which was quite an interesting one that I did quite a while ago. But anyway, so I was doing that alongside doing exams, and then finished both of those and was like, okay, let's go straight into the YouTube thing. I went into a gap year to see if I could do it full time, and I was like, I don't know if it's going to be possible for me to do it as a full-time job. I'm going to put all my energy into it. I'm going to take every opportunity as it comes, appreciate it, and I'll have a little scrapbook that I can look back when I'm old and be like, oh, do you remember when I did that? So I decided to do that. Also, this was the era where bullet journals were a thing. So I used to watch so many videos on YouTube of bullet journal YouTubers, and all they would do would be like setting up my January monthly spread, and I just found it the most satisfying thing. Where they would just like, you know, be setting out like a little January monthly spread. They'd have all the different washi tapes and highlighter pens and oh my gosh, it just looked so satisfying. And they'd just do like a little voiceover of them chatting away, of them doing their little journal. And I guess like I've always kind of kept a diary from throughout the whole of secondary school, but it was like a to-do list diary. It was like, okay, I've got to do my German homework, or actually I did German for 1 year. I don't know why that was a subject that came to my mind first. I have to do my geography homework or my chemistry homework or that kind of thing, which I'm not going to say really counts as a diary because that was just like a to-do list, but I guess it's kind of a diary. It's what I had to do each week. And I do actually have one of those diaries as well in adult life where it's like, okay, this video needs to go out today, or I need to edit this video for then, or oh, I'm going away and filming today. So it is good to have that as like I do love a good to-do list, like taking it off, highlighting it off and be like, oh yes, I have done that task again. It's like having a sticker chart as a kid. I loved that anyway. So I decided I was going to do my own little bullet journal. So if you want to know what my journal looks like, I don't actually have it with me, so it's for audio and visual listeners. I'm going to describe it to you. So it's not A4. A4 is the big one. It's the one smaller than that. So I want to say it's A5. It's an A5 journal, and it's a bullet journal, so it has a blank page with lots of little dots in. So I thought that would be better than kind of stripy, or not stripy, like a lined journal. Go on now, it's me. Anyway, because I thought I'm going to draw some little pictures in. One of the things that I used to do was I would make like a little kind of collage. I would airdrop all of my photos to my computer, and then every week I would print out from our printer the photos that I wanted to print, and then I'll cut them out and put them in my journal. But then when I got older, I found out that you can get a little mini photo printer. Now, I do have one of those. The thing about those is, oh my goodness, like the actual printer, they're not that extortionate, but the printer paper, oh my gosh, that stuff is so expensive when you add it all up. So my best advice is if you're gonna go in and get yourself one of those, buy the printer paper when it is on sale, because it gets expensive, and buy the multi-packs as well because it works out cheaper per piece of paper. Anyway, so what I would normally do, I try to do like a little bullet journal where I would be like, oh, I've read this many pages of my book, or I've ridden the horses this day, or that kind of thing, like where you would tick off like each kind of like task, or do like a little line for like how many hours sleep you had, that kind of stuff. For bullet journals, not for me. I cannot keep up with them. If you love doing that, that's fine, you do you, but for me and my life, I do not have the time for that. So what I would do is each week I would do like a double page spread, and I would like write the day, and then I would write a few little kind of, instead of bullet points, I kind of do like maybe 3 sentences of what I did. Like, oh, this morning I recorded a podcast episode, and then I did some pole work with the horses, and then in the evening, me and my friends went out for dinner, like that kind of thing. It's not like a huge, like, today I'm feeling super emotional because I'm just feeling sad because it's raining out. It's not like that kind of thing. It's not like a sort of diary where it's super like deep or how I'm feeling or that kind of thing. It's more just like this is what I did today. So technically, ever since I've been 18, I can tell you what I've done every single day of my life, which is actually quite wild when you think about it. I mean, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. If you said, Esme, 15th of January 2021, what did you do? I would not be able to tell you. But if I went over to my little scrapbooks, I'd be able to open it up and tell you that I was probably at home in lockdown, filming videos of the horses on a very cold, rainy day. And yeah, that's probably what I did, staying at home. But I'm actually so glad that I did keep a scrapbook, because even like things like that, like when I'm older, I'll be like, cool, I can't actually really remember what I did in lockdown. I probably just, rode the horse and stayed at home all the time. But actually I'll be able to see, oh, on that particular day, me and my friends, we Zoom called and played Among Us, or like something random like that, and be like, oh, actually I remember doing that. That was so funny. Or just like little things like that. I often quite like to write down like things that made me smile, or certain conversations that I have with people, or I don't know, just like little things like that make me happy. Like, for example, I quite like to write down like what books I'm reading or what TV shows I'm reading, because even though that seems so silly, looking back on it, it's actually quite interesting to see like what I was doing with my free time back then. So yes, so what I quite like to do for my double page is, I write a little bit in kind of like random kind of places, and then around it I used to do drawings, and now I've got to the stage where I've kind of realised, like looking back at my old ones, that my drawings, they're not that great. Maybe I'm being hard on myself. So I kind of have like a colour theme for each week. I don't do this on purpose. Like just at the end of the week, I'm like, if I think of a colour for that week, what do I think of? For example, if I wore a lot of blue on my horses, then maybe, or like you chose a blue saddle pad, or if I'm looking in the photos and maybe I'm wearing a blue top or that kind of thing, I'm like, this is going to be the blue week. So I have lots of scrap paper that I am like a little trash monster. I think that's like a little rubbish creature. I don't know, that's the best way to describe it, because whenever we go somewhere and there's like, a free leaflet or map or that kind of thing, you best believe I'm like, can I keep that for my scrapbook, please? Like I have so many like bits of paper or bits that basically people would think of as rubbish or that kind of thing, and I like to keep it and I put it in my scrapbook. It's quite fun to like stick bits in, like if I go to the cinema I get like a little cinema ticket or that kind of thing. I love, but also even if I don't want to use that for my actual scrapbook, sometimes just like, there's maybe like a little blue bit on that map, I'll put that in my, I can use it kind of as like a little cute piece of paper. And stickers, I love a good sticker. I have these stickers and I think they look really cute. They look like real like plants. I think that's the best way to describe it. And they have like a clear background, so it almost looks like you've got like dried flowers that you've stuck into your scrapbook when actually they're stickers. And oh my gosh, I just think it makes it look so cute. I also quite like my scrapbooks to look rather messy as well. It doesn't have to look picture perfect, almost like like a collage or lots of bits of scrap paper, stick it all in along with my photos as well. And I don't know, I think one of the reasons why I love doing my scrapbook is I'm quite a nostalgic person, if you couldn't tell. Like I've always loved like documenting things. I mean, I've been doing social media for a very long time. I started YouTube before it was, or like social media before it was like a cool or the kind of thing to do. Like I've literally started YouTube as video diaries with my horses to kind of track our progress. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because especially now we've sadly lost Mickey, it's so nice now when I miss him to go back and look at videos of him, which I don't know if that's really sad or not, but I think it's very sweet. And I kind of like it to look back on memories and how my life has changed as well. It's quite interesting seeing that. But also one of the other reasons why I really like it is because when I was doing like A-levels, exams, school, that kind of things, I was that girl that had 2 pencil cases. I had one for like my scientific calculator, my ruler, my pens, my eraser, like all that kind of stuff. And then I had one for my gel pens, for my pastel highlighters. Like I was that person. And I was like, now the job that I do, like so much of it is on a computer or online or at a screen. I was like, I kind of miss having something real. I mean, not that it's not real, but you know what I mean? Something in the real world that I can hold, that I can look through, especially as like with your phone. Like I know that I've like all of my photos, I'm very good at backing up. Also, this is your reminder that if you haven't backed up your phone lately, go and back up your phone in case your phone breaks or gets lost or anything like that. Back it up. Don't lose your photos. Don't lose your memories. Anyway, sorry, that was quite passionate there. There was one time a few years ago where I thought I almost lost all my photos because my phone ran out of storage and went a little bit cray. Anyway, so that's another reason why I quite like to have it, is because so many of my memories are kind of in the digital world. I thought it'd be quite nice to have something that I can actually look through and that kind of thing. I think one of the other reasons why I really enjoy having my scrapbook, especially when it's the winter, it's feeling grey, you feel like, oh, I haven't really done that much recently. It's quite nice to look back and be like, oh, there were actually some really lovely memories that I made, even when it was January, even when it was cold, even when it was raining, and I felt like I didn't really get out that much. But also with summer coming along, I mean, I think I can just about see the sun starting to poke behind the clouds in the window that you can't see, but I can see in the window. So sunnier days are ahead. I'm very excited to do some more riding over the summer. Also, with summer coming up, a new year coming up, especially the new eventing season for my eventers out there, please, 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 if you haven't got a new helmet recently, think about replacing your helmet if you have had it for many, many years, because helmet safety 101. If you live near Red Post, you can go in store, and they also do helmet fittings for you, so go and check that out. Or they also have a thing on their website all about how to correctly fit a helmet too, so go and get your helmets at redpostequestrian.co.uk. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up today's podcast episode there. Thank you so much for listening. Also, a little thing that I just want to say, again, thanks to Team Australia, for getting me in the Spotify charts. But if you are a Spotify user, please follow the podcast. Please comment down below, because you have comments there. I think I might be at some stage rate us 5 stars, or do all the podcasty things, whatever platform you're on. We really appreciate it, because then hopefully the podcast platforms show the podcast to more people, and I can continue making more cool episodes. Also, leave me a little comment if you can. And maybe we'll do a little Q&A at some stage. So let me know if you'd like that. Also, let me know if you would like me to read through some of my old diaries. I feel like I'm actually going to cry and cringe if we do that. But you know what? It'll be worth it for the content. It'll be to do it for the podcast. That's literally like my new motto. If I do anything that's like slightly scary, or like I'm not too sure about it, you know when people say do it for the plot? I am do it for the podcast. So anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.